Hi everyone, and welcome to Cooking with Cricket. Well, it's getting about that time of year. It just turned fall. So tonight I'm going to make a big old pan full of chili and a pan full of homemade cornbread. And so I'm just going to kind of show you what I need to get started. I got about 1.5 pounds of ground beef. You can use any kind of meat that you want. And then when I made the potato stroganoff, I had extra ground beef once it got fried up, and I drained it and froze it, so I'll be adding the rest of that to make it about 2 pounds. I've got my large onion that I'm going to process in my food processor. That way it gets finely diced. I'm going to do that with my green bell pepper, and that way if somebody says, "Oh, I don't like green bell pepper," well, they really won't even see it. That are the onion, and I've explained in a couple of videos that's just how we like it. You can just chop it real fine. And I'm going to be adding a couple of teaspoons of the minced garlic. I have my spice mixture here. I'll go over that in a minute. And then my worcestershire sauce and the hot sauce. I've got pinto beans, but you can use any kind of beans that you like. I've got crushed tomatoes. And I told my husband we needed some tomato sauce because we had chili on the menu to make. So we were at Aldi, and they only had 4 of the teeny tiny little cans of tomato sauce, and they was almost out. So Sam's Club is pretty nearby, so look what he got. It's going to be hard for me to measure this out for y'all. He got this huge, big old can. It's a net weight 6 pounds, 9 ounce can of tomato sauce. So I figured what I would do is just measure it out in cups to see, because I think a normal can holds, what, about 1.5 cups. It's around 15 to maybe 20 ounces. So that's how I'm going to have to do it. He said that was only $3, and in his mind that's just better to buy that than a case of cans, which would have been easier to use. But that's living with my husband. That's been like that for over 20 years, nearly 30 years. So anyway, I'll do my best on that. So I'm going to get the my ground beef frying up. I'm going to get my onion and bell pepper chopped, and I will, even though this garlic's minced, I will throw it in my mini food processor with this, just to chop it up a little bit more fine. So let me quit babbling and let's get started. While my ground beef is cooking, I'm going to tell you everything that I have in my seasonings. And I may be adding more. Normally when I cook like chili and stuff, I don't measure. I just add to what I think looks good. But anyway, I know that I have onion and garlic, but I am adding a little bit of the powders too, just to help, because I think it tastes different than the original, what an onion tastes like, so it just helps with the flavor. But I have 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1/4 teaspoon of the ground red pepper, which is the cayenne pepper, 1 teaspoon of paprika, 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of parsley flakes, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, and then I just have 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper and 1 teaspoon of salt, but that's really to your taste. And then in my cup, I have 3 tablespoons of the Worcestershire sauce and 1 teaspoon of hot sauce, and that's optional. So let me get this fried up and I'll be back. Oh, and if I can't find the crushed tomatoes, I will get the diced tomatoes, and I still will chop them up in my food processor. Alright, I got my ground beef fried up and drained. Now I'm going to add my finely chopped onion and the garlic. I'm going to drop my bowl. And my green bell pepper. And I'm going to let this saute for about a minute or 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything in but the beans. I'm going to season it and everything, and this pan will be full. Then I'm going to take half of this mixture out, put it in another pan, because me and my husband likes the chili with beans, my kids don't. So theirs will simmer away after I get theirs in their pan, and then ours will simmer away. And I make a lot. Me and my husband will have some left over. The kids might have some left over, but tomorrow night we can have like some chili cheese fries or chili pie, and then what's left over out of that I freeze it, and then we have chili for another day. Alright, I just want to show you, I have showed you this before in other videos when I've ground up my onion and bell pepper. You can still see it in there. It's just not real big old hunks of it. That's my personal preference too. And having a daughter that's a very, very, very picky eater, this was ways to hide things that she wouldn't know that she was eating. Just personally, just growing up, like if somebody made a pot of chili, the vegetables and all would be chopped so big, you just either get a spoonful of onion or a spoonful of green pepper. I like to taste it all in one bite. That's just me. Now I'm going to add my crushed tomatoes. I'm going to go ahead and add in my Worcestershire sauce and hot sauce. Give that a stir. Turn my heat down to medium, and I'm going to go ahead and add in my seasonings. Now I may be adding more. Once I get everything in and have it going, I'm going to let it cook for a couple of minutes before I taste it, to let everything have a chance to marry and mingle. Alright, now let me start adding. My son came home from work the other night and saw this big old can of tomato sauce sitting there, and he said, "Who bought that?" And then he stopped and he said, "Never mind, I know Dad did." So whatever leftover I have, I'll just seal up and use it for a later use. Here's one. If this takes the whole can, I'm going to crack up. 3. Okay, so far I have 10 cups of tomato sauce and 6 cups of water. Now remember, I'm going to take half of this out and put it in another pan. So I'm going to let this come up to the boil and let it simmer for a couple of minutes. And then I'm going to taste it for seasoning. I'm sure we're going to need more salt. And I do like to make a big old pot to freeze some too, so we'll have a meal for another night. I forgot an ingredient, and I'm glad I remembered it. I add 1 beef bouillon cube. Just 1. So let me let this, I'm still waiting for it to come up to the boil, and let that cube get dissolved, and then we'll taste it for seasoning. And the bouillon and the Worcestershire sauce and all is salty, and that will help some with the salt. I have the beef bouillon cube, add a can of beef stock. I'm always changing up, you know, like last year, and I know there's an older version of my chili recipe on here, but just sometimes I just change things up, so I thought I would just do an updated, revised version of my chili. This tastes real good as is. I don't think it needs anything else. If anything, maybe just a touch of salt, but I'm not even going to add that right now because I don't want it to get too salty, because it tastes perfect. So just, you know, season your chili and season it the way that you like. So I'm sure that bouillon cube has done dissolved, so I'm going to stir it up real good and take half of this out and put it in another pan, and then I'll be back. Alright, my beans, my pinto beans, I did drain and rinse them. And you can use any bean that you like. I just happen to like pintos the best. and the amount of beans you put in. That's up to you too. I just happened to find that big can at Aldi. If I was anywhere else, I'd have probably bought 2 small cans of them. So now I'm going to turn the heat down and just let it simmer. I'm going to put a lid on it and just let it simmer for about an hour, and then it'll be ready. You still want to stir it and keep a check on it, and you can still taste it for seasoning after it cooks for a little bit while longer. So see, look, it's gonna be good. So I'll be back in about an hour. Alright, I got my chili and my cornbread ready. I let my chili simmer for about a good hour. And now, if you want to put cheese in your chili, sour cream, add extra onions, that would be good. And sometimes I add cheese to mine. So let me chop up my cornbread and I'll take us a taste of it. This is so good. And it has, just to me, I didn't add no more salt or anything. It tastes perfect, perfectly seasoned. And it's not got so much heat in it to where it's just real spicy. It just has enough that, like, you can just feel just that tiny little bit, teeny weeny bit of spice, if that makes sense, where it's not overpowering. But you can add more hot sauce or anything you'd like to it. This is good. We just like our homemade chili, and with cornbread. My daughter, she won't eat it with cornbread. She'll put cheese in hers and eat it with the oyster crackers, and that's good too. Tomorrow I may eat it that way when I eat me some for lunch. So how do you make your chili? Let me know. And I want to thank all of my subscribers. Y'all are wonderful. All of my new subscribers, you're wonderful. If you're not subscribed to my channel, if you like what you see, please subscribe, hit that like button, and please leave me a comment. I love hearing from every one of you. Y'all are just awesome. And I hope you enjoy.